Hey everybody, Kara Castronova with LindellTV here with Congresswoman Van Duyne from Texas. We're here in Washington, D.C. at an event talking about all of the great things that you're doing in Congress and the bills that you're working on. Can you tell us more about what you're working on right now?
Well, we are looking at, I'm on the Ways and Means Committee, so we're going to be looking at a second reconciliation package, which I am hopeful. I know a lot of people are concerned about health care bills. I think that's something that we are very concerned about as well, and we're going to be looking at providing relief. I personally am working on a number of bills, one which I'm hoping is going to come to the floor in a couple of weeks, which is the Stop Funders Act. Everybody's looking at these massive protests that have become very violent. They're obviously organized, and the question you've got to ask is who's paying for it? Who's organizing it? And so this bill would actually allow a stretch of the RICO Act to include protests, violent protests. So follow the money and figure out who's actually causing all the harm, all the damage, and all the doxing of our federal law enforcement.
Any tips on who these organizers might be? I have suspicions on who's funding them.
Look, I think everybody has suspicions, but until we actually get the data, it's not in our best interest to start throwing out accusations. So I think we all have ideas of what's going on, but honestly, let's follow the money and let's figure out where it comes to, because they're obviously organized. And I've heard some people say, oh, no, it's a coincidence that they all wear the same things, that they all have the same, equipment, that they're all wearing the same, they're all holding the same, professional signs, that pallets of bricks just happen to, show up, someplace. No, these are organized. These are getting a lot of attention, and there's a reason why. And so follow the money and let's figure out why, and let's arrest the people who are organizing it. But you're seeing a number of people who are showing up at protest after protest. We had an attack on one of our ICE facilities in North Texas, on 4th of July. They were ambushed. One of the shooters there had already been arrested for doing a protest in Austin, Texas. This guy had pulled out a gun on an officer. He was arrested, but the Soros-funded DA in Austin decided not to prosecute.
Right.
So then this guy goes and he starts doing it again. So these are repeat offenders, and you just can't do the one-offs. You got to figure out who's organizing it and why.
Well, thank you for trying to get that legislation passed. And I also want to ask your opinion on Hillary and Bill Clinton. They're sort of the talk right now. They're going to have to testify in front of Congress. Originally, they didn't want to, but really what's standing out to me is Democrat lawmakers, so many of them making threats, saying now just see what's going to happen to President Trump when he goes out of office, or even when he's still in office. We're going to subpoena him, his sons, his family, his wife, and all of these things. What do you think of these threats?
I think they've already come good on all of their threats. They've already done that. They tried to arrest him. They have already thrown the book at him. They've already made him come and testify. They released, if you remember, all of his tax filings illegally. They have gone after him and his family. It's been horrendous that that's happened. But as far as what Bill and Hillary Clinton, they are refusing. Yeah, Hillary and Bill Clinton have refused a congressional subpoena.
Right.
Now, everybody, what we were told, by this same Democrat Party is no one is above the law. And if you remember right, you had other folks like Steve Bannon, like Peter Navarro, that were incarcerated, right? For doing the exact same thing, but somehow we're supposed to give a pass to Hillary, and to Bill. It makes absolutely no sense. If no one is above the law, they need to come. They need to actually testify in front of the oversight committee, and let's get some answers.
Yeah, I think that'll be standing room only, if not people pouring out the door to see that. If it's open to the public, I certainly would want to be there. But thank you so much for the great work that you're doing in Congress and for your state of Texas. Where could people follow you on X?
Beth Van Duyne, VanDuyne. I'm easy to find. I've got a very unique last spelling name, and would love to hear from you.
How do you spell your last name?
V as in Victor, A-N, and then D as in David, U-Y-N-E.
Similar to Van Drew. There's a Congressman Van Drew. Do you get
Van Drew? There's a bunch of Vans, actually, but yeah, Beth Van Duyne out of Texas.
Thank you so much, Congresswoman.